On this edition of the program, we got some nasty ads. Woo! Getting personal as we get closer to primary day. And Kevin Ryan joins the show to talk about the Olympic culture wars and mostly about the Epstein files. Also, if the map of the United States was a layout for a house, which areas of the country would be which rooms? It's all coming up.
The following is brought to you by Just Another Pilot.
Hello and welcome everybody to the Politics program for February 27th. 2026, your old pal Justin Robert Young joining you from Austin, Texas, where early voting continues. Big primary votes happening next Tuesday. Very exciting. You know, right now in the betting markets, the prediction markets, James Tallarico and Ken Paxton are leading, right? Yet James Tallarico has been trailing in the most recent polls that have come out from independent sources by about 3 points, and Ken Paxton is leading by 2.7. A lot of question marks into that Democratic primary. We'll get into that. We'll get into that in a second. Well, no, we won't. We won't really get into that. I don't know why I promised you something that we weren't going to get into. We're not going to get into it. There was a crazy Crockett poll that came out from the University of Texas that had Crockett up by like 17. Nutso bo butso. Everyone's trying to make sense of the early vote, where it's coming in, how many people are voting. A lot of Democrats are voting. Does James Tallarico got it like that? We're going to find out next Tuesday. That's the last we're going to talk about it. We are going to talk more about the other side of the aisle, and we will welcome our friend Kevin Ryan to the program, plus Hillary Clinton being deposed in D.C., the White House desperately trying to keep some of that tariff money, and Mayor Mamdani of New York City just, pointing out a different world that the country could have been taking since 2016. It doesn't matter what your politics are. If you flatter Donald Trump, you can probably get things out of him. He's the most transactional guy in history. We'll get to exactly how Mamdani did exactly that. But before anything, we want to get into some nasty ads. Oh, 2 ads that crossed my into my radar, and I wanted to bring to your attention because if it's nasty, you need to know about it. Here's the first one. This is an ad supporting Liz Nicholson. It goes after Cook County Commissioner Samantha Steele, who was arrested for DUI and apparently told the officers, "You don't want that. I'm an elected official." Commissioner Steele later called this a deep fake. Anyway, go ahead. That's the context. Here's the ad.
Samantha Steele thinks you should keep her on the Cook County Board of Review, just like she thinks it's okay to drunkenly threaten police with her elected power after plowing into 2 cars.
You don't want that. I'm an elected official.
The body cam footage doesn't lie, but Samantha Steele does, to cover up her DUI arrest.
Some of it is, there's a lot of deep fakes.
The only thing fake is her commitment to Cook County. Self-serving Samantha Steele. No rules for her, higher taxes for you.
Woo! I gotta say, whoever wrote that ad, oh, that's good. Everything kind of rhymed. Everything went together. Each accusation turned into a transition to get to your next point. Just bop, bop, bop. Lead with the foundational footage. Make her look like an absolutely terrible person. And boy, howdy, did they do it on a scale from 1 to nasty. I give it a nasty. Now, here's what you got to understand about a nasty ad. One that's mean. One that's unforgiving, unrelenting. Throwing all of the papers of decency down to the ground and saying, for once in our lives, let's look at morality. Let's look at class. To really understand a nasty ad, you have to understand what isn't a nasty ad. What is a nice ad? What is an uplifting ad? What is a heartwarming ad? So I'm going to show you this ad that just came out from Ken Paxton. Ken Paxton's got some scandal problems, so they need to soften up his image. And this is how you do exactly that. Ken Paxton's daughter talking about what a great pap he is.
My dad is a really good guy, loves God, he loves his family, and he loves this country. A lot of people may call him General Paxton, Ken Paxton, but our kids call him Pop Pop. He'll, take a FaceTime from them when he's in a meeting.
He will tell us over and over, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. He wants his grandkids to grow up in an America that's still recognizable.
Yeah, I think he'll make a great U.S. Senator because he's going to fight for our values.
I'm Ken Paxton, and I approve this message.
Heartwarming. Are we selling candles or trying to launder a reputation? You always strum a guitar when you're having a good time. Do. Just a young Christian couple that is talking to each other about how awesome the dad is. Wow. Man. Yeah, that's a lot of time and money. And you're making a young mother of 4 and her husband be public figures when they probably wouldn't otherwise want to. It's a lot to ask. That's a lot to outlay. You got to wonder what it's covering for. Probably something nasty. Something real nasty. Like this ad from the National Republican Senatorial Committee and John Cornyn.
It's voting time, so let's cut through the bullshit. Crooked Ken Paxton cheated on his wife. She's divorcing him on biblical grounds. So now Paxton's wrecking another home, sleeping around with a married mother of 7. And remember this, Crooked Ken has increased his net worth by as much as 7,000% since taking office. And his actions in office, even more troubling. Paxton gave millions of Texas tax dollars to left-wing organizations, including the Montrose Center that hosts drag queen shows and performs gender-affirming services to kids as young as 7. Now think of the Paxton dirty deeds we don't know about yet. The wife cheater and fraud, or the Texas workhorse. Senator John Cornyn is endorsed by the Border Patrol, and he voted with President Trump 99% of the time. Cornyn got the money to finish the damn wall. Texans know what to do.
I'm John Cornyn, and I approve this message. Join my team and give today.
Great googly moogly. That stuff is nasty. Oh, my Lord. That is just an empty the Oppo file and let it all fall where it may. Not only is he a man who got divorced, he's getting divorced on biblical grounds, broke up his own family. He's also sleeping around. I yearn for the day where a ad calls another man a slut. Ken Paxton, slut, sleeping with a mother of 7. Then says, oh, by the way, his personal wealth is increased by a ridiculous amount of money. For the record, fraud and personal enrichment were at the heart of his impeachment scandal a couple years ago in the Texas State House. Then, worst of all, he's giving money to the gays. He's giving money to the trans kids. He's giving money to the drag queens. And then note the music bed. Do you want the cheater and the fraud or that's the sign of blue collar America. You know that blue collar America is here when you hear it just sounds like a gigantic pile of bricks hitting the floor. The Texas workhorse, John Cornyn. John Cornyn's just a regular guy, not a Washington fixture. He hasn't been drifting away from his base for years. He's just a guy next to the border wall. He lives next to the border wall. He loves the border wall. If he could marry the border wall, he would, and he wouldn't cheat on it like that slut Ken Paxton. I gotta tell you, I love politics so much, man. I love it. I love it, man. All right, let's go ahead to Kevin Ryan. Oh my gosh, so many things going on, and we were overdue for a conversation about the Epstein files. And so we have to bring on our friend, Kevin Ryan. Welcome back to the show.
It's good to be here, brother.
You are outside. If people hear peaceful wind chimes in the background, that is why. You can see Kevin's backyard if you are watching us on Substack TV or YouTube.
Yes,
I want to
sir.
start here. Just a little palate cleanser before we get into bigger issues.
Okay.
If the United States and all of its regions were the floor plan of a house, which regions would be which room?
Okay. We're talking regions, like how
Like
wide
the
are we talking?
country. So like, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
we can define it however we want. Southeast, Northeast, Midwest. Like, what's the foyer? What's the master bedroom? What's the guest room? What's the back porch? I kind of feel like California has to be the back porch, right?
I could see that. Yeah. Sunny.
That's got to be the
It's
back
nice
porch.
weather.
Yeah, right? That's what you
It's
want a
kind
back
of-
porch to be.
Yeah. A little bit performative.
A little bit, right? You know, probably not.
Front porch is deep
not as-
south, dude.
Yeah, not as clean as you'd like it to be sometimes, the back porch. Maybe you're like, man, you know, if we really put some time and effort into this, it could be really awesome. But right now, it's still nice.
Oh, yeah.
It's still nice. Front porch is the deep south. I like that. I like the front porch because friendly, right? But
Yeah, you know, things can go downhill on a front porch.
it is the kind of place where you're going to fly a flag for SEC football. That's a thing that happens like on the front porch, right?
Yeah, I would say the Midwest would be my first thought is kitchen. East Coast would be
That's the office.
Yeah, I could see that. That's where a lot of like straightforward things happen.
We're getting things done. Like, you know, that's the office.
We're making sausages and
Exactly. Yeah. Some stuff is happening there's graphs on the wall, you know. They'll picture your kids. Like that's the Northeast.
let me see.
Master bedroom. Where are we going for
Oh.
master bedroom?
Well, depends. If the master bedroom is where you have economic discussions, that's just New York City.
No, that's kitchen table. No,
Kitchen table
for
the discourse.
Is the South the kitchen table? The Southeast?
Texas,
Texas is
Texas
the kitchen.
is-
No.
the backyard.
Texas is the backyard.
What about
The
what
Southeast,
about
the
Oregon?
Southeast is the attic because it's too hot.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
less there than you purposely don't keep a lot there because it's too hot. Right?
You're a Florida boy too, man.
No, sorry. Southwest is the attic.
Southwest.
Southeast,
Okay.
No, Southeast I think might be master bedroom. I don't know what like Florida is. I don't know where to put Florida.
Florida. Let me see.
Florida's the pool.
Yeah, I'll take that. I was going to say basement. Yeah, pool.
Might be the basement too. It might be
Chicago.
Okay, so what is the Midwest? Is the Midwest the kitchen?
That's what I would go with.
Okay. So that leaves the Pacific Northwest.
That's the one I've been trying to think of this whole time.
Yeah. All right, we have left guest room. We have
definitely not the guest room.
No. There's something weird. You want to know what? It is the guest room, but like you just bought the house and you don't really know what was in there before you bought it, but there's just a weird energy to it.
Yeah,
like
there we go.
That you just walk in and you're like, was this a baby's room, or like, why is there like, it feels like there's claw marks here. Like, do they keep a dog? Like,
there's an American flag and a pride flag, and there's clearly an argument going on in the house.
There's just a very odd. It's the guest room that you don't keep a lot in. Now, maybe you keep. There's like boxes and stuff in it. You don't really put a lot in there because you don't know. It's just an odd. It's an odd vibe.
So what's working you up these days, man?
Send in theyoungamerican@gmail.com if we got anything wrong in sorting out America. The Epstein files, man.
Yes, sir.
I'm at my wit's end with the Epstein files because I feel like I was. Let me clarify my priors before I get to my conclusion.
Yes, sir.
I have been interested in the Jeffrey Epstein case since the 2000s when he was first charged, because this was a local story for me. Jeffrey Epstein was somebody, when I was living in South Florida, that was initially arrested. He was somebody that was known in the area as a Palm Beach rich guy. It was a big story.
Wow.
And this was around the time, and this is where people kind of forget about this, Jeffrey Epstein comes into any kind of political consciousness in the early 2000s because he's one of the dudes that is very involved in the Clinton Global Initiative, which, if you were paying attention to right-wing media at the time, was a huge point of fixation. The idea that this was just a tremendous issue of self-aggrandizing graft from the Clintons, that they were going to organize this gigantic transnational organization where they would get a bunch of world leaders in a room and they would just skim a bunch of money. And that was what the Clinton Global Initiative was. And in that moment, as that was being set up, one of the guys that was flying Bill Clinton around was Jeffrey Epstein. So the only people that knew about him at this time were fixated people in right-wing media that were like, who is this mysterious billionaire that is flying Bill Clinton everywhere? He wasn't a known member of the elite before. He has kind of emerged out of the shadows, and now he is who he is. Then he gets popped for the thing in Palm Beach.
Yeah.
And gets what some call a sweetheart deal. I think we can get into that in a second.
Yes.
Then he just sort of reemerges into the world. He serves his time, however leisurely, in the Palm Beach Correctional Facility. He is a designated sex offender, but he just kind of moves back into the world of philanthropy that he existed in before, right up until Me Too. And then Me Too reignites this whole conversation about how we are looking at claims of women being violated. And that ensnares Harvey Weinstein, somebody that was well known as a person who had a reputation, a coercive sexual reputation. He goes down. We don't need to relitigate Me Too, but we need to remember that the Epstein situation leading into 2019 was brought on by that.
Yeah,
and from there,
important.
He dies in tremendously shady circumstances. And I have been on the record as saying that was intensely shady. And then Ghislaine Maxwell gets caught up. She goes to jail, right? That's where we are. And all that was what it was. And it was stoked by the right almost exclusively, denied by the left almost exclusively, because Jeffrey Epstein was, throughout his entire life, a Democratic mega donor and a donator to various different causes that tend, not universally, but tend to associate themselves with the left. Academia, science, so on and so forth.
But he was also hanging out with Steve Bannon.
Well, now, but when, my friend, was he hanging out with Steve Bannon? It was when Steve Bannon was ejected from the White House. And so now two people that were very mad at Donald Trump got together and shared about how all their brilliant ideas are so brilliant. And Steve Bannon said, I'm going to launder you back into public health, because he looked at Jeffrey Epstein as a very rich person who could A, pay his bills, and B, he could, use as a reclamation project and push himself forward like he viewed himself as a propellant for Donald Trump. And Jeffrey Epstein looked at Steve Bannon as somebody that also hated Donald Trump and could maybe give him media advice, because Steve Bannon was so brilliant and got Donald Trump elected. What could he do for me?
It's not a bad assumption either.
Well, I mean, it's just, here's what drives me up the wall, all right? I'm here for any conspiracy theory in general.
Yeah.
Because I am from the school of thought that there should be nothing dismissed permanently. Always bring stuff back in and look it back over. Sometimes outlandish claims turn out to be true. And when we have a too rigid expert class that poo-poos the idea of talking about anything, then we lose our ability to think critically. That is my opinion. That being said, there was only one man who voted against the release of all these Epstein files, and his argument was, I believe it was Tim Burchett, and his argument was, there's a reason why we don't do this. Because if you release all of the underlying files in an investigation, then you are giving the imprimatur of authority to things that were not chargeable. Not only were they not chargeable, you're just throwing the gates open to a lot of information, all of which are stamped with an official thing. If we did this all the time, we wouldn't have accurate records, because people would know that they were coming out publicly and they would hide things from the public. And we don't want that. We want open information sharing. And so what we've seen now is a lot of embarrassment, a lot of smearing, a lot of lost jobs for being friends with a convicted sex offender. Now, whether or not people deserve that, that is up to whoever it is. We've seen arrests in England for Prince Andrew and Lord Mandelson, not for pedophilic sex crimes, but for sharing information that was proprietary to the UK government with Jeffrey Epstein. That came out in the files. What we don't see is any more evidence in any way toward the idea that there was an international sex trafficking ring, that there was a large-scale blackmail operation, or specific credible evidence toward any of the bold-faced names that we have seen. We've seen a lot of rumor, a lot of innuendo, a lot of creepiness. I will say creepiness in Costco-sized portions. But very little that is illegal, at least on its face, or provably illegal. So why are we still talking about it? And why do we have people that are otherwise, in my opinion, supposed to be pillars of journalism that repeat, this is a pedophilic sex crime ring and you are covering up pedophilic sex crimes? Because I don't see a lot of evidence there, and it is kind of driving me up a wall. Am I being, I wanted to talk to you about it because you're similarly conspiratorially minded as I am.
Oh yeah.
And I want to know what your point of view is on it.
Yeah. So life in the discourse inferno. That's what we do. We navigate it. And this phase of the Epstein portion of the discourse inferno, we're pretty advanced at this point. Like you just laid out the history, and it's sort of evolved along that trajectory. And one of the recent advancements in this discourse, which I've found troubling, but yes, I think we need to have this conversation, relates exactly to your question. And the problem I have is that there in the files, you have plenty of files that say child abuse, child sex abuse material excluded or removed.
Yeah.
So it's there. I mean, there were children that were harmed. And if you have to ask for that evidence.
I mean, there's a lot of that was child pornography that was commercially available. Like that was not taken on, that's the other thing is there's like, here's what we know.
I'm a guillotine guy.
Well, sure. Yeah. And I'm for that, but like, we need to know who. That's my thing. It's like, yes, we can be mad. Here's what we know for a fact. Jeffrey Epstein is a mega creep who lives in West Palm Beach. He, through his girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, starts recruiting girls to give him a massage 3 times a day. I'm going to do my best to dance around the fact that he believed that he had a condition for which he needed release 3 times a day. All right? Yeah. That is what he did. Now, most of these girls were over the age of 18. Now, they were barely over the line. Certainly creepy for a man of his age to recruit those women. And some of them were under that age. They were around the ages of 16, 17. Illegal in the state of Florida. And it was something that he was, that he went to trial for. Now, the other thing about the trial is that what we think of that trial now, what we think of that investigation now, is hard to look back on in a way that would make sense for that trial then. Because what we have heard, and here's what I am sympathetic toward, is the idea that he was not penalized the way he should have been because he got a sweetheart deal. And one of the things that I do believe has come forward in these files is evidence to suggest that Jeffrey Epstein is somebody that is of a class of person that moved money both prior to his criminal investigations and possibly afterward for various different governments and through the intelligence agencies that facilitate deals. Yes, I am for that one, largely for this reason. And this is what came out. He was FOIA-ing himself to the CIA before he became famous.
Of course.
So he wanted to know what would come out if reporters FOIA'd him. And what would come out was that it was what's known as a GLOMAR. That is that we can neither confirm nor deny that we have any files on Jeffrey Epstein, which is what you say when the CIA or organization doesn't want to turn over something, but they are acknowledging that it happens. Because otherwise they say there are no files. But they can say that if they say they can neither confirm nor deny, then that means that it's classified and you're not allowed to see it, even if you try to FOIA it. So he was doing that. There's also a circumstantial evidence that he was, when he left Bear Stearns, which also has a history of working with various different CIA adjacent organizations, that he starts a private practice. One of the first people that is his main client is an architect of Iran-Contra. He is around a lot of these things that, like, what you want in that kind of person is access to money, access to people. He had both. How do you gain access to money and people? You have parties and you give them things that they want. Now, that has always led to the idea of, well, what if the things that people want are children? And I understand that. That's why I was interested to see some of this. But it seems that what most of these people wanted were women between the ages of 18 and 25.
Yeah.
Which, creepy, not illegal. Not
illegal.
We can have negative thoughts about them, but we cannot call them pedophiles, right? And it is not this idea on the more extreme end the Pizzagate end, where there's like blood sacrifice of children for
Satanic
Moloch
rituals.
or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so like, it just seems that what we see now is a pretty clear picture. And yet the idea that there could be something more, or that we need to dig into every report that was brought in, like, you know, after Epstein killed himself, there was a surge of reports of people saying all number of things. Some of them are patently ridiculous for a million different reasons.
Yeah, and can immediately be proven false.
Immediately be falsified.
Yeah.
So, like, but, you know, there's a reason why you don't look at a lot of these underlying things. Now, is there evidence of a cover-up? I don't know. If you look hard enough at anything, there's evidence of a cover-up.
Oh, like, always.
But it just doesn't seem...
And the transparency might be the cover-up. That's what's so fascinating about all of this.
I know, but that's, I mean, like, what are we doing, Kevin? What are we doing?
So this is modern warfare. We get to participate in it without going onto a physical battlefield. I mean, intelligent societies thrive on secrecy, and anytime they're open about the fact that they're telling you a secret, you should be very doubtful about the verity of that information.
Yeah.
Because it's useful for them to, I mean, it's chum in the water. A lot of the Epstein files is chum in the water. And it also reveals our indulgence society. So, you know, we have all this information, and some of it is, it's spicy enough, man. It's very spicy. But then you have the indulgence of, well, I think that the Illuminati are a satanic organization.
Yes.
And what do Satanists do? They sacrifice babies, therefore. And I know it's more complicated than that, because there is some there's some wording that just doesn't make sense, where there are clearly code words, and it slips in a way that gives you a haunting satanic connotation.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately what a lot of those situations are maybe people who know what they're doing with information are feeding more yarn to the Charlies of the world.
Yeah.
But I'm also like very appreciative of the Charlies.
I'm tired of the Charlies. I'm out on the Charlies. I'm out on the Charlies right now. And here's why. Here's what I think happened. I think that you had a class of people, largely on the right,
yes,
that spent a lot of time talking about how this was a massive cover-up, that Jeffrey Epstein was being protected by Democratic power structures because he was a Democratic power broker, and that was the reality. And oh my God, all we need to do is scratch the surface and all this stuff is going to come out. And I'll give you two names that did this quite a bit: Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. Boy, did they spend a whole lot of time talking about this. And then they got names. The jobs. Jobs that would make all this public. In many ways, almost entirely because they would be trusted to do it. And I think that they earnestly did, Kevin. I think that they went into those files. I think they looked over everything. And I think they found themselves with an empty cigar box like Geraldo Rivera sitting in Al Capone's vault. And then I think they looked at each other and they said, oh, that's not great. Like, we've been talking about how this is like all just one thin cheesecloth behind the surface, and we're the ones who are going to rip it back and show that we can bring justice. Now, at that point, they have a few decisions. They come out and they say, yeah, there's nothing in the Epstein files. And that stokes more suspicion. They could come out and sit down and say, hey.
On Fox.
Well, or this was my point from the very beginning.
Yeah.
You could have gone, you should have sat down either at a press conference or go to Joe Rogan and say, any and all Epstein files questions, let's talk about what's in them. Here's what I thought. Here's why I thought it. Here's what I looked, and I'm going to do my best to declassify as much as I can to explain the fact that what I thought was in there is not in there. They didn't do any of that. They did the mixed messaging stuff with Pam Bondi and the binders on one side.
The binders.
Bongino and Cash were on the other side saying there's nothing in there. And then eventually they get the worst of all worlds, a one-page, nothing to see here memo, which starts in motion not only a particularly damaging part for a moment for Donald Trump's presidency, specifically with the right, driving key allies away ultimately, like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yep.
But also some of the dumbest stuff I've ever seen in media ever, where now liberals are emboldened to talk about the Epstein files, not because they've ever cared about it at all.
No.
But because they have an opportunity, and it is their right as Americans in a free country to call Donald Trump one thing that they have not called him before. Called him a lot of names, almost every possible name. Now they can call him a pedophile. God love him. That's what these guys want to do, is call Donald Trump a pedophile. You're a pedophile. You have a pedophile ring. What a big pedophile, 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 pedophile. And so now we have the rebirth of Pizzagate. We've got I don't know, except now it's not 4chan that's doing it. It's not right-wing podcasts that are doing it. It's not Jack Posobiec that's doing it. Now we have to take it seriously because it's the New York Times. And the New York Times is like, what strange code words are saying about the Epstein files? We asked 5 sociology professors. And it's like I wanted to drill bit my eye when it was the MAGA chuds that were like obsessing about it. Now we have to do the turtleneck version of it. And I want to jump off a bridge.
No, I know. Let's jump together, dude.
And people just repeat it so carelessly. So if you want to know where my thought is, I very much appreciated Michael Tracy being a bizarre curmudgeon about this. He is a person for which in a bygone era, there was a Michael Tracy in every good newsroom who, when there was
I'm still skeptical about Tracy.
We'll get to Tracy in a second.
Okay.
We'll get to Tracy in a second. I'm telling you, in every good newsroom, when people were really excited about something going together, there was a rumpled haired dude who was shaped like a pear that would say, yeah, but what about that? And it would
warthog.
It would put a fart in the room where if you didn't have a good answer for it, then guess what? That's good. You need to do more work. It shows that this is not complete. It shows that you are getting ahead of yourself in what you want to believe as opposed to the evidence. And that is where, might I say, as somebody who has made this mistake, the worst journalism mistakes are made. The worst ones are made because you let your narrative, what you believe is almost certainly true, get ahead of what is provably true. And that's where I think that is true. And then the other side of it, I would say Mike Benz, he's far more on the intelligence side of looking at various different CIA stuff. He's the one where I tend to believe where he has come down on with Epstein, that it's like, was he involved with the CIA? Yes. Was he involved with Israel? Yes. Was he involved with Egypt? Yes. The UK? Yes. Want to know why? Because when any of those countries needed a thing to happen, but they couldn't pay for it, and it couldn't be them that was doing it, you turn to people like Jeffrey Epstein that are international bon vivants that just know the people that need to be talked to that get things done. That is just a class of human that exists. And that precludes them, by the way, from being specifically blackmail artists. Because here's one way that you don't have a whole lot of friends is if you are blackmailing people. Because if you're blackmailing people, then guess who doesn't want to go to parties and find a mistress in your address group? Everybody else who's powerful on the planet.
Anybody who can be blackmailed.
Yeah, they don't want, I mean, like, if it got around that he was blackmailing people, then that would be the end of his popularity in these circles. Definitely. He needs to remain popular in these circles. So it's like, Those are my priors. That's where I'm at. Okay. We have gone back and forth with Michael Tracy. Michael Tracy's been on this show.
Hey,
I like Michael
Tracy's
Tracy's work on this. Yes.
Let me say a couple things about what you said.
Okay.
Part of what makes it frustrating when the right gets involved in all this and kind of shakes the coals around, because they're mostly comprised of Charlies.
Yeah.
But almost
we're talking about Charlie and Always Sunny in Philadelphia for those, the Pepe Sylvia meme. But go ahead.
Yep. They do almost no primary reporting. So and this is very much like the Epstein files, where there is a controlled amount of information that has been hand selected, and you're counting the planets based on very limited telescopes.
Yeah.
So there are more planets, and they contain wonders and all that. So we cannot go ahead and count those things. We don't have an accurate number on how many planets there are yet. But the discourse is completely based on this limited material. So that's what the right conservative media does, and God bless them. It's very useful for them and very important for them to go out there and say there's something wrong with this information. Yeah, but they also don't go out and I know they can. By the way, I know they have the power to do this. Yeah, but they don't do it. They won't do it.
No, because conservative media traditionally, and I think in many ways still, is counterpunch media. Is
100%.
Well, here's what they're saying, but if they were being honest, here's what they would really say, or here's what they are avoiding, right? Yeah. Here's
what they don't want you to know.
Exactly. That is under the assumption that most reporters or media members are liberal Democratic operatives that are pretending to be unbiased journalists, which, by the way, if you look at the amount of people that used to call themselves unbiased journalists that now have Substacks for which they have revealed themselves to be unhinged liberal Democratic activists, Substack politics might as well be called Rush Limbaugh was right the entire time. like, yes, they are just Democratic activists pretending to be unbiased journalists. Look at what happens when they don't have to pretend anymore. Now, there are obviously exceptions to that rule. I'm not saying it, but if you look at the most popular ones,
that's when
I'm just saying.
That's when, I think this was early 2000s when the definite left bias in the media finally came out. Because before, when in these surveys, they were self-surveying. So the standard is I have to be objective or whatever. I don't care. But I need to make it look like I don't have these raging beliefs that underscore everything I write. And so they were saying independent. So the majority of them were independent, supposedly. But when the content analysis took place on Twitter, we realized they're farther left than Bernie, on average.
Yeah, look, coming up through that farm system and knowing a lot of people that are in prominent positions, I don't know a Republican. In fact, it's funny when
I know a few of them, but they write like liberals because they want to keep their prominence.
I don't know a Republican that I came up with that now works professionally. Now, does that prevent somebody from doing a good job? Absolutely not. I think that you absolutely can do a great job, regardless of your personal political bias. And I know most of my friends that work in the media do exactly that. They do a great job. They do a phenomenal job. But anyway,
that's been harder. That's gotten harder. You see that less and less often because of the importance and role of activism. I've been in the room with so many of them where they're saying look, the thing that's really important is that we further these causes. And we all know what the causes are and we all agree with them, right?
Yeah, I've never heard it spoken like that. I do think that
This was New York Times. This was like a forum with 5 New York Times. A couple of them were Pulitzer winners too.
I will say I've been in the room where there's been very, very disheartening conversations around like, well, we all agree blank. And it's like, no, we shouldn't all agree blank. Like there should be a spirited conversation about some of these assumptions, because the point of a reporter, the point of knowing these things is never really believing much of anything that isn't provable today, and B, responding to your audience. If your audience doesn't buy a thing, then you should continue looking into the thing. Like, and whether or not you think that is smart or good, the two big issues, and we're not going to stay on journalism. I got a very nice email about somebody who was very mad that I talk about journalism too much and various other things, and we're not silly enough. So we started with the silly topic, and we're not going to talk about journalism all that much. But
what else do they want to hear about? Sorry, go ahead.
The two biggest problems with journalism are audience capture, because everybody's scared about money, and so you're terrified to lose the audience that you have, and so you don't want to piss them off. And B, the lack of strong editors that actually want to drive good coverage forward. It is not necessarily a reporter's perspective. What like people don't realize, if you only know about journalism from like movies and TV shows, is you tend to think that like reporters are these like roving samurais that like find the scoop like private eyes, and then they bring it into a room and they say like, my new quest is this, and then everybody sagely nods, or somebody says no, and then he says and then that's it. That's not how it works. It's a lot more mechanical than that. You get a story, and you're like, hey, go report on that story from your editor. And then you go report on the story, and then you bring it to your editor, and your editor says, nah, do this. And so the shape of what actually gets published is incredibly, almost from stem to stern, shaped by the editor, not the reporter. And I think that has been at great lacking. Anyway, we wound up talking about journalism too much. Epstein, right now, as we speak, what have you learned, and what do you believe that is different from before the release of these Epstein files?
I think we're on the same page with a lot of the second part of your question. I followed this. I wasn't a day one. You were a day one, but I've been following this for a while since the Miami Herald piece that just like blew it open.
Well, that was the Miami Herald one, re-examined the case, and that kind of got things re-kicked off, because that was the one that essentially painted the picture of this being a sweetheart deal, that somebody got away with something.
Yes. Okay. So I would say the things that have changed with greater knowledge or greater amount of information is that it is nowhere near as clear cut as we thought, and it might not be as horrific as we thought, but it's like we've talked about before. Just the fact that this information entered society, it's sort of like how you and I have had to watch a lot of things that are just like traumatic, essentially, and read manifestos, any video footage from any sort of shootings, information that stays with you, but you read it and you look at it so that you can have a more informed perspective and understanding of the situation, and hopefully tell the truth.
Yes.
So with this though, like the chum in the water aspect is, hey, I don't think civilians should have that much information, and especially if so much of it is up in the air, so much of it is yarn. And here, I'll say it this way. One thing that I can't get over is the temple on the island with the doors that lock from the outside. That's the thing that I'm like, I can't think of a really good, unless it's a troll. Epstein because he was kind of a troll as well. That's the thing I can't really parse.
The shape and manner of that structure.
So I've never seen footage from inside. Is it a temple inside?
I don't know. Does anyone know?
No, probably not.
But why do we go? This is my other thing about like pizza and grape soda and stuff like that. Like, maybe it's code. Maybe it's not. Maybe maybe they really like those things. Maybe it's code for something. But even if it is code, how do we know that it's children? How do we know that it's this incredibly gruesome element of it? Is that a temple or is it a shed? Because guess what else locks from the outside? A shed. Maybe it's just a place where he keeps his ski-doos. I don't know. I don't know. But when we assign this graph to it, when we assign this foregone conclusion, and that used to be a right thing, because the right would believe forever that this was only being covered up because Bill Clinton was guilty of something horrible, and it was
just
Bill
asking
Clinton's
questions.
friend. That's why we're done with it. And then Trump refused to release files, and then it became Donald Trump must be credibly accused of pedophilia if he doesn't want to release these files. In fact, if anything, we've seen this especially as our politics have gotten more pugilistic. The greatest, most damning evidence is somebody not wanting to crush their enemies because this is clearly bad. And so when both sides decided not to do it, instead of saying, oh, maybe there's not as much in there as we thought, it was, no, they're both guilty. They both have done this thing, as opposed to neither. Which
that's when the pitchforks. That's when the pitchforks went into the fire and got sharpened. Like that both sides were involved in it, and that, it's like nobody wants to be left out. What's going on in that shed? It's a very elaborate shed.
Oh my God. This is your update, brought to you by TakePoliticsSeriously.com. 2 bonus episodes each and every week. Join the team. After the Supreme Court struck down Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs last week, administration officials are now exploring ways to keep some of the roughly $133 billion collected. Internal discussions include discouraging companies from seeking refunds, slowly repaying through litigation, reimposing duties under new legal authorities, or offering faster refunds in exchange for companies forfeiting part of their money. Trade lawyers say the government previously promised to repay the fees with interest and warned courts would scrutinize any attempt to sidestep the refunds. The Court of International Trade will oversee the refund process, but the administration appears prepared for a prolonged legal fight. They stepped in it. They got called on the carpet for it, and now they're going to have to deal with it. There's not really, much of another way to put it. They can try and figure out they can rely on the courtesy of strangers or companies that want to curry favor with the administration to say, sure, look, we already counted that as lost cash. Let's just let it stay lost. You can keep it in the coffers. But if somebody wants their money back, they're going to get their money back. It's just that simple. This is in the bargaining phase of loss for the administration. Hillary Clinton deposed behind closed doors in Washington, D.C. today. This is all, of course, by the House Oversight Committee for the Epstein files. Hillary sturdy in her denials that she knew of any wrongdoing with Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell. Democrats claiming that they really want an unedited transcript of what happened out as soon as possible because they want to minimize the ability for Republicans to control the narrative by leaking information that they want out there. Drama during the event, however, as Lauren Boebert leaked to podcaster Benny Johnson a picture of Hillary Clinton that he put up on his Truth Social. That led to Team Hillary stopping the deposition before it restarted. We will have more information on that shortly. And then Friday, today, when you're listening to this, Big Bill Clinton back in D.C., back being deposed. Only 90s kids will remember that the last time this happened, it turned into a pretty big deal. I don't think it's going to be as big a deal as what happened back in the 90s. But, he said things during that deposition that, turns out weren't exactly true. How will he handle things now? We will find out. One last update here, and that is an unscheduled trip from Mayor Zohran Mamdani to Washington, D.C. apparently has yielded positive momentum for not only new funding for housing in what is rumored to be Queens, but also the release of a woman who was captured by immigration officials in the dorm areas of Columbia. This all came together. Obviously, it was a surprise, but Mamdani reportedly, according to the New York Times, presented Donald Trump with 5 names of people that had been detained by immigration officials and asked for all of them to be released and their charges dropped. And one of them, it actually happened, the student from Columbia. Here's the reason why, okay? So I want to point this out. For anybody who thinks about Zohran Mamdani, whatever anybody thinks about his policies, he very much gets one key thing. If you give a little, you will get a lot from Donald Trump. I'm going to go back to 2017, maybe 2018. I forget exactly which year, but it was the year where we had our first big government shutdown leading up to the midterms in his first term for Trump. And there were all these conversations about, okay, well, what Donald Trump desperately wanted was a border wall at that time. We want to build the wall. And there was a conversation. Do we build a border wall in exchange to make the dreamers permanent American citizens? And that was balked at. They shut down the government, and the border wall now eventually gets funded after Donald Trump spends 4 years in the wilderness and then comes back and wins. But I remember having this thought back then that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, who were negotiating with Donald Trump, Trump desperately wants to like them. He wants them to like him. He wants to be a bipartisan guy, no matter what he says. And it's one thing to just say no to the back and forth. It's another thing to actually kind of work the man. Zohran Mamdani, and Will, find this picture and put this up on the YouTube version. He gave him, Donald Trump, 2 New York Daily News front pages. One of them, a famous one from 1975. Ooh, when Donald Trump was a spry young man, when he has fond memories of New York City. That famous New York Daily News cover is Ford to City, drop dead. This was about a request for New York City to be bailed out by the federal government, and Gerald Ford at the time said no. The fake front page was Trump to City, let's build. An immediate point back to Donald Trump's golden youth. Here's where a Republican president went astray. You knew you hated it back then when you were a New Yorker, when you were in New York. Be a hero to those in New York now and make with that cash. And you want to know what? It looks like he is. Zohran Mamdani knows how to work Donald Trump. And I think Trump likes being around him. They can call each other despots and communists all that much. And also he didn't call the press in to go talk. I don't know. Interesting stuff. That's your update. TakePoliticsSeriously.com, where you need to go if you want to get 2 bonus episodes. Let's get back to Big Cosmic Kevin Ryan.
So, okay. Let's like see if we can spin some humor into this.
Okay.
Which is itself kind of funny. What is the most outlandish, ridiculous conspiracy? What's your favorite wacky, nonsensical Epstein conspiracy?
I don't know if I have. Maybe I've lost my smile with this one. Maybe I don't have a wacky one. I mean,
never lose your smile.
I know. All right, let's think.
The aliens. Aliens is one of my favorites.
Wait, that aliens are covering up for Epstein, or
no? That the the lizard people are the ones who are hiding all of this from us, and they're fueled by satanics. There's a lot of there are a lot of mixed metaphors in there.
Yeah.
That one's pretty wacky. My favorite one is the Jefferson Epstein connection. That Jefferson was a vampire, and and Epstein is actually a vampiric evolution of Jefferson and the $20 bill.
Thomas Jefferson.
Who's on the
20?
Who's on the 20? Who's on the 20?
Jackson, not Jefferson.
Jackson. Oh, I'm sorry, Jackson. Sorry, brother. You vampire.
You're saying, you want to know what? This is something that actually happened at a bar I was at on Wednesday. Was the bartender was like, "Oh my God, Andrew Jackson looks like Epstein."
Yep.
That's a real thing.
That was floating around because, they do the Photoshop face
side by side. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's definitely Epstein. So that one's been fascinating because it's sort of like the Big Mike conspiracy theory where it's just like, this is not true, but it's kind of funny.
Let's slow down every time that Michelle Obama danced on Ellen and see what's going on frame by frame, like it's the Zapruder film. Back,
let's do the
and to the left, back,
most homoerotic thing,
and to the left.
Any of the ranch stuff, the Zorro Ranch stuff.
It's like. At a certain point, it was just the very conspiratorially minded or the political populist right that was like, well, this is how they do it. They protect them, and that's what this is about. Where it's like, look, there is some stuff that's come out that will affect people's lives, like Prince Andrew and Lord Mandelson are, and possibly Keir Starmer's role as prime minister might come to an end because of stuff that was released in these Epstein files. Now, that was not the point of releasing the Epstein files. Like the idea that all these personal emails are coming out and people are losing jobs and friends and stature, and they're having to sell their companies and stuff like that because they were horny for Ghislaine Maxwell or were playing footsie with Epstein after he was a sex offender. Like, I honestly don't know how to feel about it. Should they be defined by what they said to somebody that they likely thought was going to advance their career and give them money? Like, is it bad for them to do it? Yeah. Like, would we be shocked at our heroes of how they reacted to people that we might deem unsavory or deem unsavory currently? Like, I don't know.
It depends. I think it depends on like the frequency of the emails and the nastiness or depravity of what they said. Cause some of it was like depraved. There are no pizza metaphors hiding it.
I mean, I don't know.
Maybe
what is your line for what is your line for depravity?
I'm the wrong guy to ask. I have some group chats that should go straight into the shredder.
Okay, yeah, but that means
I should just be funny.
That you have a high. Yeah, that means that you have a high line for it. Then, like, I saw a lot of things that were horny. I saw a lot of things that were sycophantic, and I saw a lot of things that were a bunch of old men talking about how much they like having sex with young women.
Which is not new. That's been around.
Shocker. It's not. In fact, some say on a cold autumn night, if you listen close enough, you can hear an old man trying to have sex with a 19-year-old right now. Even this very day, you can hear that phenomenon continuing to happen.
The Corvette revving.
Look, like there is a pipeline of NYU co-eds to Upper East Side apartments.
there's a reciprocity to it, and it's hairy and gross, and we don't like to think about it, let alone see it. And it's I mean, like Belichick, the photo with him and his girlfriend dressed as a mermaid, stuff like that. But yeah, it's just a strange power dynamic that has existed for a long time.
And look, I'm here for all that discourse, but we can't pretend that it's illegal.
Yeah, no, you're right. So yeah, I guess back to your question. So much of what I don't think because there was let's take the Bill Gates email. I don't trust Jeffrey Epstein. I don't like, who knows what he did. I think at that time, email was one of the—
I'll tell you who believes Jeffrey Epstein. Melinda Gates. Melinda Gates believes what that is.
Yes.
Because Bill came out and said, email, blah, 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 blah. Melinda Gates came out on NPR and very carefully worded was like, I'm very sad I got divorced. That thing that you talked about is the reason I got divorced. And it's like, okay, well, she believes it. She is happy that it is out there.
Before she says that, there's always this moment of like, hello, darkness, my old friend, where she's just staring up at the ceiling, just like reliving 9 years in that one moment.
Well, I'll tell you, she does not open her mouth unless she absolutely wants to, let alone into a microphone, let alone at the time that she said it. She very much wanted to be in the ecosystem saying, this is why I got divorced. So I think she believes some version of that.
Yes. So, but in the
but not illegal.
No. And creepy, weird.
And we knew it. We knew that Epstein was involved in their divorce. So it's like, now we know a more sinister element of it, which is allegedly, don't sue me, Bill, that Epstein says in an email to himself that Bill got VD from a Russian girl and then beseeched Epstein to get him medicine that not only did he take, but he put in Melinda's food without her knowing. Like, that is the claim that Jeffrey Epstein made to himself that I am surmising by way of Melinda's public statements that she likely believes too. That is my opinion, Justin Robert.
But then that becomes, okay, let's stretch this yarn. It goes to Bill Gates' connection to vaccines, and this one connects to this other piece over here where Epstein was chatting with the man who innovated the ideas related to DNA, and Epstein was apparently obsessed with DNA and spreading his genes. So anybody who got the shot has Epstein's genes in their body forever.
Of course. Yeah, I know. Let's throw that all in a blender and just pour it out.
But no, I mean, if that were to happen, that would, and it could be proven, that would be pretty serious. But I think everybody understands that Bill Gates is not going to do prison time for the information that's come out.
For what?
Exactly.
For cheating on his wife?
Yes. And, well, I mean, it's just like there's an element of...
If cheating on your wife was illegal, then Don Draper would be Slobodan Milosevic.
The people who... The normies, the masses are dead certain they're laughing at us in there. We finally get to throw some mud at their castle through the open window and laugh at them. I think that's what's going on with Bill Gates, and he's just, he's kind of
people have hated Bill Gates for a million different reasons since the 90s, and we can list all those in a different episode. But I think what you are pointing out is, our friend Andrew Heaton talked to some like primate researcher, and
of course he did.
Was
awesome.
like talking about, in his mind, his evolved economic Andrew Heaton mind, the idea that the rich get richer is not a problem as long as the floor of our society continues to rise, and that there are fewer and fewer people that are lacking basic nutrition or basic housing or basic whatever. It doesn't matter. The people that are at the top can get as rich as they possibly want as long as the floor continues to move upward, and that he finds it frustrating when people look at a wealth gap and get really, really mad about it, because that could erode the ability for the floor to continue to rise. And he asked this primatologist about it, and she's like, oh yeah, sorry, that's just hard-coded into our mammalian DNA, is that when we look at somebody with larger pile, we are mad that we have small pile, they have larger pile, even if our small pile is enough for us to make a family and procreate.
I'm worth more bananas than this.
Exactly, right? And so in that vein, if you look at this as, or Me Too as well, as just a cultural bazaar, a free-for-all for us to be able to throw rocks at people that we view as privileged, then what a time to be alive. You are able to do that. You are able to damage people that you believe are more privileged than you, that are of more advanced status, and that if you were in that situation, you would not make these same decisions. Whether or not that's true, whether or not they're actually more advanced than you are, whether or not you view them as somebody that is good, bad, or indifferent, you can hit them with a rock right now and they'll hurt. They will feel it. That is true. That exists right now.
Yeah.
We are in a power play for the proletariat.
That's always existed. And if you want the philosophical element of it, it's any sort of clash like this comes down to a sacrificial crisis. So even the symbolic idea that satanic sacrifices could be happening is involved. But the more interesting and fascinating sacrificial crisis to me is the one you just described, where it's the victims, the people who see themselves as victims, selecting the sacrificial scapegoat, or the scapegoat, the sacrificial victim who's going to cleanse everybody of their sins, to like wipe away all of the wrongdoings. And after they've been sacrificed, they become this sort of deity.
Yeah.
Who watches over everybody. So, that is also hard coded. That's goes back at least that far.
Yeah.
Where there is always conflict. It's always involves scandal. Scandal always involves spectacle, and all of these things ignite the fire wider and wider, and incite the lynch mob to commit the sacrifice.
Yeah.
And there has to be the illusion of unanimity. It has to look like the crowd has decided together that this is the sacrificial victim. And it's so interesting to see, because you can see that in a small scale in an argument between two people, but it's so fascinating to me when it takes this sociological dimension and you can see the primitive element. So that's so smart of Heaton to have that guest on. That's a really clever idea.
Yeah. All right. That's the only good idea he has. Don't switch to his show. Anyway, I got the one good one for you. Don't worry. The rest of it's boring. All right. Let me tell you things that I do think are worthwhile that have come out of this, that are interesting to me. Boy, has it shown some liars. We've got some liars around.
Some big liars.
Reid Hoffman. Why you lying? Howard Lucknick. Why you lying?
Don't be lying.
And I know that I know why they're doing it, because nobody wants to be like, yes, I was close friends with Jeffrey Epstein, or yes, I was closer friends with Jeffrey Epstein than I would like to admit. They all want to come out and say, Monster Man was monster. I looked at him and I said, gross, monster, never talk to me. When in reality, Reid Hoffman and Jeffrey Epstein had a lot of shared interests. They both like philanthropy. They both like math. They both like science. They both like funding Democratic politicians. And here's something that Jeffrey Epstein was really, 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 really good at: getting nerds laid.
Yeah.
He loved meeting intellectuals. He loved meeting professors, and he loved inviting them to places where their society, their social circle would not bring them, around pretty young women who were pliant. Now,
ironically, this is the one area that they don't do their research on. Sorry, keep going.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're like, oh, this girl likes me. Okay, let's just dive right in.
They mean to not. They hope they don't like them. They just want them to do whatever it is. I think that is interesting. I also think that it's interesting that we have this conversation about victims, right? Because there are some women for whom were victims of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and they were punished for it. Not once in Epstein's case, but twice. And those were the women that were recruited from Palm Beach high schools to give him massages that turned into sexual acts. And there were some of those girls that were under 18, and whether or not they knew it, they were under 18. Them's the rules. It is up to you to do the double check, okay? Like that is how it goes. And if you're recruiting girls from high school, guess what? You are playing with fire and you got burnt. It was what made Jeffrey Epstein a registered sex offender, whether or not he should have done more time, up to you. Whether or not they got a call from Langley to tell him, hey, just whatever you do, don't look into X, Y, and Z about how he makes his money. I don't know. It seems plausible. But there's a lot of these women that when you see the big lineup of Epstein survivors or Epstein victims that were adults when they met Epstein.
Yeah.
And they have not made claims that they were, now, whether or not they were raped or trafficked. I mean, I think these are lines that are unfortunately more fuzzy than they need to be in our modern era. But like, I have a hard time wrapping my head around what the next action is, but people are more bloodthirsty than ever for it. And that's what has given me agita.
So that's a part of the sacrificial crisis too. I mean, you have a line of victims who are lining up to, see the repercussions of their abuse, to get whatever sort of reconciliation they need, and, throw a little cash on top of it. So anytime you have that line of people, you're going to have a lot of sneakies and line cutters and a lot of people who see all they see is the money. They don't care about the reconciliation, or they do care about it, but for impure reasons.
I don't want to impugn anybody like per se. If you want a more aggressive take on it, read Tracy. Tracy is unflinching with his moral,
he's the
moral
word
judgment.
Yeah.
Yes, he is very, very unflinching. More unflinching than your humble host about
he doesn't blink,
drawing lines on stuff like that.
We just let him feast. Send in Tracy. Send in the warthog.
He
had a rough week,
dude.
Oh, and I don't know if it was a rough week for him because he was in gladiator mode, and he was getting some
because of the Piers Morgan thing.
Yes,
because Tara Palmieri, another guest on this show, a lot of guests on this show appearing in this scandal.
And they're all great. Don't worry, I'm not bad-mouthing Tracy.
I was not. If you go back and look at the runtime of the Tara Palmieri interview, it was less than the allotted 30 minutes, and it was because I was not having a good time. Very, very rare that happens.
Good for you.
God bless her.
I've never
God
seen
bless her. Let her become a new Pizzagate influencer.
I hope she gets a podcast.
She does. No, she has it. She's on Substack.
She already got it?
Oh, yeah. No. She's an independent.
She has a Substack too?
No. She did a podcast with Virginia Gouffre.
Oh, boy. A short-lived podcast.
She did, before she committed suicide, she did a podcast where they're looking for Epstein information, which, again, Michael Tracy alleges was essentially a fishing expedition for the lawyer that was backing Gouffre. But that being said, they went back and forth. If you have not seen the clip, and Palmieri says, "Who is paying you?" Michael Tracy, who is never short for words on anything. And so I believe him when he says he couldn't hear what was being said. It was portrayed by Piers Morgan and Tara Palmieri that he was trying to avoid the conversation. I assure you, to his detriment, Michael Tracy will never shut up about this. He will talk to anybody that wants to talk to him about this until the day he dies.
If you watch the full clip, going back to Tracy as a gladiator, it was more like, I dropped my sword. Just give me a second. My sword is on the ground. And he immediately, once he got the sword back in his hand, he was ready to decapitate everybody.
Yeah.
With like a barrage of defenses to what they had to say. So yeah, that was sort of a phony gotcha that people either did their homework, actually did the homework on and said, I don't care that this is what's going on, or they only saw that clip and just, grabbed the pitchfork.
Yeah. And it's like, I will say this. If you were a member of the global elite and you were like, oh my God, things are going bad, dude. These files are out. It's really embarrassing for me. I got billions of dollars on the line. You want to know what? I got to hire Michael Tracy. I got to get Tracy on the beat. Like, I can't imagine that where he's the guy. He's the guy you want to go to.
Oh, and that's what I'm saying. Like, the hits he got in involved that exact argument in very funny ways.
Yeah.
He was talking about like I'm living it up in my studio apartment in 98 Nissan or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I am happy with how he responded to it.
Why are you skeptical? You've had a scancy eye toward Tracy.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because, Bridget had him on the show recently and she's a pro, man. She knows how to handle all this. And we had a writers meeting before where we just sort of talked about the guest. And that was one. I'm usually more interested in their ideas and their approaches. But with him, I just couldn't get over. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that the feeling in my tummy is wrong, but that I do have this feeling where I think, I don't know about his motives, and some of the stuff he says is creepy, but I can write it off as the language and word choice and logical inferences of like a Sam Harris, where it's like, oh, there's a touch of the tism there.
I will say he fell into what I like to call the Twitch debater trap, which anybody who has debated for long enough on Twitch or any kind of live stream new media world, if you do it professionally, invariably, you eventually get into one of the biggest Kobayashi Marus in the internet. And I would encourage any and everybody, professional and non-professional, that if you find yourself presented with this, run away. Right. See the point? It's better to do it than to try to be right. And that is this very simple question. Is somebody who wants to have sex with a girl that is under the age of consent and yet post-puberty a pedophile? Yes. Just say yes and move on. The category, yes, there is technically a different category for somebody who wants a prepubescent body and a postpubescent body. Is it worth it for you to put your name on that argument? My friends, take it from a grizzled veteran of these internet wastelands. I have never in my life seen somebody come out richer for wanting to fight on that point. It is haunted ground. It does not matter whether or not you are right or wrong. It just matters that you are saying the one thing. The guy who wanted to have sex with the 15-year-old isn't a pedophile. That's it. That will hang around your neck for the rest of your life, and it doesn't matter how technically right you are. It is just not haunted. Good. Move on. The Twitch debater trap, again, it's a no-win. The only way to win is not to play. That's all I would say.
Yeah, no, and that's another aspect of the Epstein situation. The entire thing is just the pure PR optics failures these should be case studies. The way, like you were saying about Reid Hoffman and the way he handled it. there are so many things that people moving into marketing and PR should study about all of this, because a lot of it has gone very poorly. Yeah. And with regard to your second point about, that debate, it's, you don't even really need to form an opinion on it unless you're like a lawyer who deals with that specific aspect of the law.
Never. Nobody who speaks publicly. I am in the wrong for even saying the phrase that it could be clipped and I could be stung with it for the rest of my life. And I am doing it for you, the person who wants to talk on the internet. I am doing my best for you. All right. Enough about Epstein. If anybody has other Epstein questions, then hit me up. I don't know. I've been frustrated by this story for a while. I've boiled over the last week. One last thing on the way out.
Yes, sir.
I loved the Winter Olympics, and I specifically loved the Winter Olympics because I love America. I love all that America brings us, and I have a very simple rule for Olympic athletes and their ability to give me their political opinions. If you win gold, go off. Tell me whatever you want to tell me. I will sign up for your newsletter. You won gold. You trained. You had discipline. You should be rewarded by telling me everybody who should or shouldn't, what issues, blah, 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 blah. I'm here for any of it. If you get silver, a little bit less so. You get bronze, barely there. And if you didn't medal, shut up and stick to sports. That's all I want.
You still had the Olympic Village. The Olympic Village is all you get at that point.
Now we had 3 great stories, phenomenal stories. Alyssa Liu, first time in many, many years since Sarah Hughes in Salt Lake City that won the figure skating championship. A great figure, effervescent personality, a star is born moment, and a routine that even novices like you or me, you can just watch that and be like, that's the best thing that I've seen doing that. It just looks different. It looks phenomenal. Super woke, right?
Yeah.
Then you have the men's hockey team. Men's hockey team is one that has had calls with President Trump since he has been president and a candidate. They called him in the locker room. Kash Patel is crushing beers in the locker room, which, Kash, look, if everybody thought you were doing a great job, slam him back. But you're not working with a high approval rating right now, buddy. Like,
no,
you got to keep that.
Handle the Guthrie thing first.
Keep that on the back. It's just, if you want to be in the corner and you want to give somebody a wink, like, that's fine. Be in the room, okay? Doing a keg stand while there's like serious problems in America and you're the head of the FBI.
Case study.
Yeah, we wanted the anti-Hoover. I guess we got the anti-Hoover, but wasn't exactly in the form we expected. That being said,
Hoover took it to the closet.
He was more of the heated rivalry version of what he wanted, what Hoover wanted. So you have a team that is probably fans of President Trump. Now, as much as you would care about a hockey player's opinion, as much as you would care about a figure skater's opinion, I loved that Alyssa Liu brought so many people together. Super woke, Oakland natives, China Hawks. All of them united in glory that this figure skater won. And I loved what happened with the American hockey team. And now it's become this thing because they're going to the State of the Union. And it bums me out because I just want these moments to bring everybody together.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think what you have with Alyssa Liu was a surprisingly mature response from the right where they said, see, we know that her politics, she probably doesn't like us politically, but she's American.
We love her.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that she's not bringing the woke presence into the Olympics makes us love her even more, even though that's what she is.
Yeah.
So I was really proud of them for that. I think they kind of sullied it a little bit with their like, see, we can do it. You can't do it. You don't know how to do it.
Oh, well, because then
just shut up and enjoy.
That was the reaction to the reaction. So then the left was like, oh, morons, MAGA morons don't realize that these figure skaters hate them and they're super woke and blah, 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 blah. And then the right's response was like, no, we love them and you can't love anybody who would be the opposite. And then I gotta say, the men's hockey team happened and kind of right. they were kind of right about that because the men's hockey team, as soon as they got a call from President Trump and agreed to go to the State of the Union, then it was like, oh, screw you, you suck, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I don't know. And I'm not here to point fingers. I am here to say I'm disappointed that people can't let sports elevate beyond a lot of the petty discourse, and B, some athletes just like being recognized by the president because when you're growing up, you win a thing and you go to the White House is like a thing. And
doesn't matter who's in the White House.
Some people don't think of it in the way that the very online politically think of it. Now you can judge them for saying that they should think of it like that, but boy, I would just wonder exactly how much we should have politics intersect with every element of our lives. And I don't know. That's my perspective. And I've been criticized, it's a privileged belief and that's fine.
No, I wouldn't say that.
I'll take that. No, I'm saying that's been said and people have a right to say it. I disagree with it, but they have a right to say it.
I will say, I don't get to see you be naive very often. That's what surprises me about this. And I like this brand of being naive. It's really sweet. It's heartwarming. There's an element of it that's kind of childlike in that, like, come on, guys, this was the one thing that was supposed to bring us together. That doesn't exist.
Well, you know what? This is my problem, though, is like the actual thing that drives me. The actual thing that is the core to my OS is rampant jingoism, is rampant American supremacy. Like that is the one thing that is like
so much
100%. If you want my actual belief, it is that I love every inch of this country and its discourse that or at least the wide variety. I love the self-pierced figure skater from Oakland who sits in the Berkeley encampment. And I love the meathead hockey player who goes to Club 11 on South Beach and makes everybody sing the national anthem. Like that's what I love it. It is the beautiful cornucopia that is America. And I'm like, come on, we have it all. We have it all. In this moment, we crushed it. The women crushed it. The men crushed it in hockey. We revealed the Canadians for what they really are. Not these kind oot and a boot, sorry, people, but no, small, passive aggressive creatures that as soon as we took the one thing that they thought belonged to them forever from them in both men's and women's, instead of hey, good job, bud. We got 3-on-3. Yeah, you guys, you didn't win World War III, blah, blah, blah. No, suck on it. Suck on it for 4 years. 4 long years. The same time that you'd wait for a CAT scan. Wait for it for 4 years.
Yeah. No, and there's also I think it was it Norway? I can't even remember. Which
Norway got more
country.
medals. Yeah,
the medal count. So it's like even
but they're
when
medal
we
stacking. There's like a few of these there's like a few of these skating ones that have like it's like swimming in the.
But most Americans don't know that. They just go, we don't care. We're still more important. Like we still need to talk about us.
Yeah, we care about like 4 events in the Winter Olympics. It's like hockey, single figure skating, pairs figure skating, and then the downhill. And then strangely curling, because I think they played 7,000 curling matches. Whenever I went, I have a friend of mine who works at a sports book, and he was like, I think they're doing it 24/7 because they have to have all the live sports on at all times. He's like, there's never a moment I'm in the office when they are not live playing curling.
I mean, that's fantastic. I love that. And Winter Olympics are interesting. And the hockey Alyssa Liu situation was interesting to me because it does reveal the class dynamics in America, and they are so beautiful, man. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on this idea that there is something beautiful and wonderful about America in this zeitgeist.
Yeah.
And to like deny it or like even criticizing it is okay. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly necessary. But turning it into hatred that doesn't allow you to see the grandeur and beauty of it is just such a weak perspective. So I'm with you, man.
Well, here's the other thing, and here's the last thing I'll say, is that the women didn't go to the State of the Union and the men did. And this is viewed as, the women took a political stand against Trump and the men are capitulatory to Trump, and so that's why they're going there. Yeah. Number one, I wish they were both there because I do believe that they should get national recognition in a very high profile position to show that people in charge of this country appreciate the fact that they gave American national pride. They won gold medals, the likes of which on the men's side we hadn't won since 1980, and I don't believe that we had ever won it on the women's side. That's phenomenal. They deserve all of that. But here's the story on the women's side that everybody's missing. Here's the reason why the men can do it. All those dudes are professional hockey players that by way of a collective bargaining agreement means that they're millionaires. They all they have the ability to do it. These women who are on this team are more blue collar. They got real jobs. They got stuff that they can't afford to miss in the way that you can't afford to miss work. We should look at the women and say, this should bring us closer together. I think there's a huge opportunity that's been missed by women's sports to not brand themselves as, hey, remember when you liked sports for its purity because you believe that those people that were out there were doing it for a more pure, less money motivated reason, that when money got super big in men's sports, we lost a little bit of something, that something still exists in women's sports. And that's what I would say to cast this in as this is the difference between a privileged group, not politically and not ideologically, but simply because they make a lot more money, versus a more blue collar group that is thankful that the president asked them. But you want to know what? Time to make the donuts. They all got to go back and do various different things that cannot be done without them. That's my take.
Here's my answer. You and I, we persist. We have survived another day of the discourse inferno. We trudge forward. Burn. We keep going. And in order to get through the inferno, you can't go out through the exit. You have to go through the proper exit. And it just gets darker. But we have little flashlights and we're doing it, dude. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud to be in the same little part of hell together. And I value every moment.
You know, that's to quote the late John McCain. It's always darkest before it goes pitch black. All right, Kevin Ryan, where can people find you?
My Substack is Free Drift, and I'm doing a little podcast thing by the same title. I'm on X at Free Drift Kevin. And I basically just post all the Substack and YouTube stuff on there. So I'm out there. You can find me.
Awesome possum. All right. Thanks, brother.
It was a blast. Thanks, Justin.
And that'll wrap it up for us today. Politics, written and hosted by me, Justin Robert Young, for Dog and Pony Show Audio in Austin, Texas. Our producer is Will Saddleberg. You can send me an email, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Find, follow, and share video clips of the show. Justin R. Young on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Get me on to YouTube's Politics, Politics, Politics. Support me with a one-time donation on PayPal, paypal.me/payjury. Venmo is Justin-Young-20. Cash App is PX3 Cash. Send me anything you like in the mail. Post Office Box 153184, Austin, Texas 78715. Let's see who the first person in the world will be to send me $1 on those platforms and just write in the subject line, nasty. Of course, there's only one way to get bonus content, and that's at takepoliticsseriously.com. Paying members get 2 bonus episodes each and every week, but the cheapest way you get it is to sign up for 1 year, $99. That is less, much less than $1 an episode when you factor in all the bonus episodes that come with you. But if you want to get your name read on the show, you still got to go to takepoliticsseriously.com, and you need to sign up at the foundational tier so I can read your name. Sonny Black, L3PO, Peepaw, Scott, Middle-Aged Mike, Tom, Nick, Sarah Jeannie, Jeremy, Pro Idiot, Chiller Tomatoes, Neil, Casey, oh yeah, it's Adam, AB Puppy, Dr. Whiskey, Fat Tony's PJs from New York, Will, The Borge B, Michael, Matt, TP4 Bongo, Andrew, Edwin, Sam, Andrew, Phil, Edison, Paul, Gloria Young, A Dog Named Checkers, Jerry, Trucker, John, Berkeley Steven, and Zombie Doc. You want your name read? Huh? Do you? On the show? Each and every episode on the free feed? Then come on. Come, the water is fine. The foundational tier is here for you, friends. For you. We'll be back next week. A great book that is now out, The Science of Second Chances. The author, Jennifer Doliak, will join us. We actually have another author on. A very book-read week. And Texas primaries. Will Tallarico get 86th? Is Jasmine Crockett the standard bearer? Or is she, as our friend Edinger Mentum has taken to calling her, Jasmine Choke It? All the promise, all the sizzle, but none of the steak. Meanwhile, is it time for the hunt to become the hunted? Wesley seems out the door. How will things flip between Cornyn and Paxton? We'll find that out as well. One last thing that is actually breaking here right now, for those following the Warner Brothers merger fight between Netflix and Paramount, it does appear that the Warner Brothers board, late breaking, has deemed the Paramount offer superior. This comes after a pretty pronounced fight. And now Netflix has 4 days to match or beat. Have the Ellisons won? We will find out. That's it for now. Till next week, this is your old pal, Justin Robert Young, saying some shows talk about politics, others talk about politics, and still more discuss politics. But this is the only show that dares discuss how 3.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Dog and Pony Show audio.